This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That is right. Welcome in another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are talking the biggest stories in Districts 5 and 6 over in East Idaho, week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. Let's bring on our East Idaho resident and sports expert, Sean Kane. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to start out by saying I always go back and look to make sure I'm not wearing the same shirt, because I seem to always be wearing the same shirt or same outfit for every Prepcast. So I actually have the same shirt on as I did last week, but I put this sweatshirt on over it. But I just want to throw it out there. And then the other thing is, I just, as we come to the end of spring sports, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? We're going to talk about some district tournaments starting and most coming up here, but is just how important controlling the things you can, like effort and attitude, are two things you can control all the time, on the field, on the court, on the track. And it's just something I was thinking about a little bit this week, about how important it is to think about the things you can control, because we can't control the weather. We can't control like so many things, but that effort and attitude for our players and coaches is something we always can kind of keep in mind and keep in check.
I like it. The theme of control throughout the Prepcast today. And then, you had a busy weekend. Of course, Sean is the varsity tennis coach at Century High School in Pocatello. You and the Diamondbacks, along with pretty much everybody from Class 4A District 6 and some 5A teams as well. You guys were all over competing at the Capital Classic last weekend over in Boise, one of, biggest tennis tournament of the year in Idaho. I don't think it's the largest, in the Northwest anymore, Sean. The Inland Empire tournament had like 55 schools competing over there in Spokane. So.
Yeah, I did see some posts about that after I had said that, and I kind of felt like they threw the numbers maybe after I said that. But yeah, that one is very large. I don't think it's always been that big though.
Right.
Off the top of my head. But in Boise this weekend, 32 of the 32 teams across Idaho and Oregon, Washington came to Boise to play in a tournament for the Capital Classic. And typically what you get is the best in Idaho, maybe minus some of the northern Idaho, because they don't participate in that because they're at the tournament you just stated. So yeah, it was a good weekend. The weather was medium, we'll say medium, like a vente size. We were able to play and get it done, and we had a new person in charge of it, and some different changes to the tournament. And change is hard for people after 40-something years, but basically the same thing. A few changes, a few little tweaks, that plus or minuses or whatever. But the reason you go is for the competition. And we went up there, and a lot of teams from East Idaho went. I think the most important places we're going to start at is who made it to the finals out of 32 teams in the number one spot. And we'll start with girls doubles, Thunder Ridge. The girls made it there. Journey Hartman and Ashley Pierce, they made it to the final. They come up a little short in the third set against an Eagle team, but still there. It was Thunder Ridge won the first set 7-5. Eagle comes back, wins the second set 6-2, and then Eagle wins the tiebreak 11-9 in that third set. But what you got to imagine is, though, you're playing 4 matches in one day. So both those teams, that's their 4th match. You're not playing a bad team the whole way through. And, what you got left in the tank, you just got to give credit to all the kids that can play 4 matches at the highest level in Idaho and get there. Thunder Ridge beat Middleton, Mountain View, and Boise, which Boise is one of the best teams in 5A period. just to get there. And so an Eagle was in the same pod on Friday as Thunder Ridge and beat them Friday, but they got the rematch. They took it to a third set. Usually it's a preview of your state championship match. And I think that's what it is. I think that's what we'll see later on in May, is probably a Thunder Ridge Eagle matchup, maybe again. So that'll be really exciting to see. And then another team that made it to the final was Daniel McGee and Liam McGee of Century, a 4A team, made it all the way to boys doubles 1 final. And again, who do they take on? They take on an Eagle team. We come up short 1-0. The Eagle team's really good. They took second last year. It's a sophomore pair. They're really good. But Daniel and Liam, I mean, you're better than 30 other teams, and you're 4A. They did a great job. So those are the 2 East Idaho teams that made it to the number 1 finals. But some other teams made it to some consolations and different things. But Boise teams, however, did sweep all the championship matches, which it happens. But, people got a good look and can make adjustments. And you got a preview to your state tournament last weekend.
Yeah. If you do well at the Capital Classic, typically you're going to be in the mix at state for the top spot on the podium. And I appreciate having you on the staff here at IdahoSports.com, Sean, because you are our lifeline to what's going on in the tennis world. I will tell you, as somebody who's on the other side of it, not a coach, but somebody who's trying to promote what's happening with our great tennis players, not just in East Idaho, but statewide. It is incredibly difficult because the site that is used for official results, tennisreporting.com, it's where all the coaches enter their results. But results aren't always in there, kind of like the Max Preps thing, right? B, to look at anything beyond kind of just the top of the leaderboards, you have to pay a subscription. And C, I paid for the subscription one time. And even when I did, I found it very hard to navigate. The site was not user-friendly. And so it's hard to get those results. There was nothing from the Capital Classic over the weekend. I'm looking at the brackets that were used and there are no names. It's just Boise beat Thunder Ridge, or Eagle beat Thunder Ridge. And so I'm glad you were there to add some context, but if you weren't, I would have nothing to report for tennis.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely a direction forward using tennis reporting. It's obviously kind of like anything, like they're trying to make money by letting Idaho be in on it. You know what I mean? Like you stated. So they, I think their envision is to get people like parents and fans to subscribe so they can follow along with the season, which it's hard. On the other hand of it, for a coach, it's phenomenal because now I can go and look at all the matches. I've got a daily update. And this year, people are much better at getting those in the day of that they happen. And, have done some good things. So it's definitely on the right direction. It's hard because I would agree with you. Like the website is not like user friendly. I've used it, I don't know for how many years now. So I have a very good understanding. I was on some committees, and Monday I was on a Zoom meeting with tennis reporting in the state, IHSA, and doing some stuff and fielding some questions. So, my knowledge base is higher than a lot of people, but, and I'm not the smartest guy either, Brandon, but yeah, it's a tool, and like every tool, right? Sometimes you need an adjustment, like that one screwdriver isn't going to fit every screw. And that's kind of tennis reporting. It fits something that we've never had. And I think we make some adjustments, and I have to give credit to tennis reporting because they're a company, like I could email them right now and Steve will email me back like immediately. And they're in Minnesota, I think originally. And their customer service is outstanding. And like I asked about the ranking system, immediately gave me an answer and a link to how it worked. So on that standpoint, they're very user-friendly and working with with us and coaches. I think the problem, what you stated, is that I know in East Idaho, we have a ton of new coaches and they've never used it before. So it's navigating that, teaching people how to use it. And then once people know how to use it, to keep using it. But that just comes with training and knowledge. And I talked to Mike Federico from the HSA, and we were talking about coming up with some guidelines about how you should use it and maybe putting that into play. And so everyone could get like a sheet and some videos, like know how to use it and know that if you're the home team, report it. And this is your time frame. And I kind of push that issue a little bit just so that everyone's on the same page. Cause I think that's Idaho in a nutshell. We have lots of things are good, but between East Idaho, Boise, Magic Valley, Northern Idaho, sometimes all those little pieces don't fit together. And any way we can bridge that gap is kind of the key.
Yep. And I just brought it up because golf is in the same boat, right? It is almost impossible to get golf results or hear about what happened in golf.
It's that picture off the window of the clubhouse.
Yeah. Baseball's easy, softball's easy, track and field's pretty easy to get results. And so, I think it's great though. Tennis reporting is good on the coach's side, just for the average person, like a parent or somebody.
Super difficult.
There's a learning curve to how you navigate it. And I never did quite learn, but I'm glad that the customer service is fantastic too. There's other national companies that aren't so great at getting back to you when you have a complaint, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is you get different logins for districts and state, and like I always lose it, and I can just email him and he'll send it back to me like immediately. And I just couldn't be more thankful for their timeliness and willing to work with the state. And like tennis reporting emailed me and it's like, you only have 2 teams in your districts? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember last time. He's like, sorry to bother you. I'm not going to bother you again. I said, it's all right. I'm going to reserve this for a time to bother you, and put in the brackets, because like the navigating thing you said is they have brackets in it when you get to districts, but like, it's like one thing and you have to make it fit however the size of your district is. And so I sent him a message with like what my brackets are, because I have them on an Excel sheet. Thanks to Ty Shippen of Rigby, AD of Rigby now. He's the bracketologist. I know you're the bracket guy, but Ty Shippen is really good at brackets too, Brandon, making them. So
right.
He made some one time and then I copied them, and I got to talk to him, Ty Shippen at East Idaho. He's watching his daughters play tennis for Skyline, but now he's the AD of Rigby, and I was talking to him about it. But yeah, he's kind of the bracket guy. If you want someone to make some brackets, call him up.
Yeah, we never really did talk about that. Congratulations to Ty Shippen. He was named the new athletic director at Rigby High School. Previously had been the AD at Minico, had been just an admin more recently in Idaho Falls, and an assistant basketball coach for Skyline. And now he's the AD at Rigby, the largest classification you can get. He replaces Justin Jones, who did a great job as the AD at Rigby. Was also the boys basketball coach. That's hard to be an AD at a 5A school and also a varsity coach still. And so I think he felt pulled in a lot of different directions. So it's going to be a good transition there at Rigby for sure. Let's transition to some of the other spring sports that are happening. The postseason has arrived, Sean. Postseason softball and baseball in the state of Idaho. So far, East Idaho, the only area that has postseason games happening. And of course, it all starts in the Mountain Rivers Conference, Class 3A, District 6. They actually started on Monday, Sean. So here we are. Brackets Baney is back. I've got a few brackets to share with you, and we'll whip through them. Sound good?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, I can tell. Let's start with softball because there's only one district tournament bracket to go over right now, and it is in the Mountain Rivers Conference. This started on Monday, Sean. So as you're watching this on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Twitter account, could you please hit that like button or the subscribe button? That'll help everybody who's not here live find the replay a little easier. You can also listen to this at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts. If you're listening audio only, it's all good. You can track along with the district brackets. We have all of them on the homepage at IdahoSports.com for baseball and softball. But if you're watching the video, I've got it up on the screen. I'm sharing my screen, and we can navigate the brackets that way. This was that wild conference, Sean, where Sugar Salem and South Fremont and Teton had all kind of taken turns beating up on each other this year. In fact, when you look at the final conference standings in this league, they ended up all going 3-3 in league play against each other, Sean. And even the overall records, they're all right around 500. South Fremont 13-12, Sugar 12-9. Teton 9-8, a true heads or tails. And look at how this goes. Number 2 plays number 3 in a best of 3 game series. And then the winner of that plays the number 1 seed in a best of 3 game championship series. Teton won the tiebreaker. They got the 1 seed. Sugar then won the tiebreaker over South Fremont. So Sugar was the 2. South Fremont was the 3. Look at these first 2 games on Monday.
This is football scores. Football scores. And we talked about this before, like what's going to happen here. I don't think either one of us could come up with any sort of prediction. And I think it kind of holds true to that. I mean, 26-24, 2019, and then 7-6 South Fremont comes away. I mean, holy Hannah.
Yeah, so this first game, Sugar wins 26-24. Sean, they were trailing 24-23 going into the bottom of the 7th, and Brinlin Crowfoot hit a walk-off 3-run homer for the Diggers as they win by 2, 26-24. Then they got to turn around and play right away again on Monday. It was a doubleheader at 2 and 4 o'clock. South Fremont squeaks out a 20-19 win to even up the series. Both of these games were in Sugar, and so by virtue of forcing the 3rd game, South Fremont then got to host the 3rd and decisive game on Tuesday. And again, very close battle. South Fremont won it last night 7-6. And so now it's Teton and South Fremont in a best of 3 series. They'll play a doubleheader Friday, game 3 if necessary on Saturday. The winner gets to go to state. The loser still has a chance to qualify via not only a regional play-in where they have to play the 2nd place team from District 5, but then a state play-in against the 2nd place team from District 4.
Yeah, just it's a wild conference. I don't, you're not going to Vegas and betting on these teams at this point, but yeah, just kind of just crazy. And Teton a little bit in the driver's seat. And I mean, whoever, Teton or South Fremont, whoever comes second has a kind of a long road to get to state, which 2 playing games seems kind of crazy to me. And we've talked about this before. It's like beating a dead horse, but yeah, very, very interesting. And could be a wild finish. I definitely seen it going 3 games, but now that I say that, it won't. But
well, and here's the weird part. Here's the funky part. All right, Teton won the tiebreaker, right? So they got the 1 seed. South Fremont, because of tiebreakers, was all the way down to the number 3. But South Fremont actually took 2 of 3 from Teton in the regular season. They won by scores of 15-5 and 18-3. And then Teton finally won the 3rd game 14-10. So South Fremont, the 3 seed, actually might be the favorite coming into this thing.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about South Fremont being the favorite in this conference at the start of it a long time ago. But then the kind of turbulence back and forth games, it's kind of crazy to think that it comes down to this. But I do like the format. I do like that there's a 3-game series. It's not a 1-game thing. I think you get a chance to get your best players to do their best things with 3 games.
Yeah. You earn it, that's for sure. So that is the lone softball tournament. A lot of the softball tournaments will start this weekend or into next week. Let's just stay in the Mountain Rivers Conference, though, and look at the baseball bracket, Sean. It's the same exact format. The seeding's a little different here. Sugar Salem got the 1 seed. They were far and away the best team in the regular season this year. South Fremont was the 2. Teton was the 3. So Monday, South Fremont hosted Teton for a doubleheader. Cougars won the first game 7-1. Teton won the second game 4-1 to force the winner-take-all game 3 yesterday at Teton. South Fremont wins on the road 9-3. So now it's old familiar foes, Sugar Salem and South Fremont, best of 3 championship series. Doubleheader Friday in Sugar. If South Fremont can force that, if necessary, game 3, that would be on Saturday in St. Anthony. And same thing here. Winner is the district champion and gets to move on to state. The loser has to win a regional play-in game against the second place team from District 5. And then they would have to win a state play-in game at Hallowell Park in Pocatello on Saturday against the second place team from District 4. But I think Sugar is the favorite here.
Yeah, I think Sugar, when you look at these series in baseball, it comes down to depth of your pitching. I think it plays such an important role. And I think Sugar has that depth right now. And, I think it's kind of theirs to win. I think it's going to be a very long road for that second place team, especially with these playing games.
Yeah, just last week, Sugar Salem took all 3 games against South Fremont in their regular season showdown, 10-2, 7-1, 12-1. In fact, Sugar comes into this championship series on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A 12-game winning streak. I could have done this before the show, but how much fun is it to hear me count out loud? 12-game winning streak for the Diggers. The last time they lost was at the Bucks Bags tournament. All the way back on spring break at the end of March. They lost to Caldwell 17-9. That's a 4A school.
Yeah, I mean, Sugar, I think they're on a mission this year, and they're cleared to go. But it'll still be good. You just, when you have these 3-team conferences, you can't throw anything out. But I like Sugar's depth at this point in the pitching arena to kind of finish this out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, there are more postseason baseball tournaments happening. Sean, let's go to Class 4A and the High Country Conference. This is District 6, where the top 2 seeds get byes in the first round. That's Blackfoot the 1, Bonneville the 2, and then 3 plays 6 in a best of 3 series, 4 plays 5 in a best of 3 series. Both go chalk. Let's start with Skyline. They're the 3 seed. They hosted Shelley, the 6 seed, at Melaleuca Field on Tuesday, doubleheader. Skyline takes both games 7-4 and 8-3. And now you have the Grizzlies playing Bonneville in the best of 3 series to try and advance to the district championship.
Yeah, I think that's a good matchup. I think you want to definitely want to be in the stadium for that, as Bonneville and Skyline play. I think that will be really good. Again, I like that these are 3-game series and you'll just get to see what happens. But a very tantalizing matchup at 2 and 3.
Yeah, Skyline and Bonneville each went 10-5 in conference play this year, but Bonneville took 2 of 3 from the Grizzlies, 13-11, 4-2 and 5-4. And then Skyline won the third game 13-11. So that's why Bonneville got the 2 seed and the bye. But they both went 10-5. And I love this in the conference. You play everybody 3 times. So there's a clear cut tie-breaking process here.
2, right? Yeah, you get it, right? There's no ping pong balls or coin flip.
No chance of a split with any of these. So this series will start Friday, doubleheader at Bonneville. Game 3, if necessary, would be on Saturday. That's going to be a really fun one. In our other matchup, Sean, Hillcrest took care of Idaho Falls in a pair of 1-run games, 3-2 and 5-4. They were living on the edge a little bit. In that first game, they walked it off. And then in the second game, they got a 1-run lead and held on. And so now you've got Hillcrest against Blackfoot. Hillcrest has been playing, on the edge. They're 5-10 in the conference, but they're 13-10 overall. Do the Knights have a shot here against the Broncos?
I mean, if we want to roll back the tape, I said Broncos were the team to beat. I've had a good feeling about them all year. I'm going to still push all the chips in on the Broncos, but Hillcrest being able to find a way to win. You look back at that, a 4-5 matchup between an Idaho Falls team that's been pretty dominant in the past. That's a good win, and that shows the character of your team to come away with close game wins, because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to that, what you're made of and that grit. So Hillcrest should feel good going into that game, but I still like Blackfoot. I'm riding on it. I'm riding on the Bronco. Yeah,
Blackfoot's on an 8-game win streak going into this district semifinal series. Their only 2 losses. They went 13-2 in conference play this year. They lost to Bonneville once, 4-2, and they lost to Skyline once, 1-0. So both losses were pretty close. We did want to highlight in a victory over Idaho Falls recently, a 19-0 triumph. Dax Whitney, senior pitcher for the Broncos, threw a perfect game, Sean. The first perfect game in Blackfoot High School history. Now, it was a 5-inning game due to the 10-run rule. So he faced the minimum of 15 batters, retired them all. No hits, no walks, no errors, no hit batters. 15 up, 15 down, faced the bare minimum. And of the 15 batters he faced, Sean, he struck out 14 of them.
Oh my gosh. And I was going to say, well, he probably felt confident because, after the first inning, Blackfoot had 4 wins. After the second inning, they had 11 runs. But let's be honest, he was confident to start the game. If you're striking out 14 of 15, I mean, how do you feel as the batters? The batters, you're just like, I'm going to swing at anything because it doesn't matter, right? What a confidence booster for the whole team when he gets up there and be able to pitch like that, and then everyone else can just kind of swing and not overthink it. And yeah, what an amazing accomplishment, and first in the Bronco history. So congratulations.
Yeah, Dax Whitney committed to Oregon State University, Division I program, right? The Beavers, last year as a junior. On the season, Sean, on the pitching mound, Dax is 6-0 with an 0.19 ERA, 0.19 ERA. That is microscopic. In 36 innings of work, Sean, he has 91 strikeouts to just 5 walks. That's insane.
He's kind of like a no-brainer, right? So that's kind of the question. Do you start off with him or do you end with him? I think you start with him because you're setting your team up for success. But wow, those stats are unreal.
Yeah, the number 2 pitcher for the Broncos is a sophomore, Nash Randall, and he's no slouch either. He's 4-1 with a 2.39 ERA. And then even beyond that, let's say it did get to game 3, you're looking at probably the senior Cy Callister. And Sean, all he's done is pitch to a 0.33 ERA. So, Blackfoot's pretty good at the run prevention this year. It's a reason why they're not just a district tournament favorite, but they're a state tournament favorite. It's going to be really fun to watch. Whoever wins the semifinal series between Blackfoot and Hillcrest and Bonneville and Skyline, they will then play each other in a best-of-3 championship series, but the pressure will be off a little bit because both teams will have qualified for state regardless of how this 3-game series shakes out, because 2 slots are available to the state tournament. So if you win these ones right here, you clinch a spot at state.
And let me ask you this. How is the state tournament seeded for baseball?
Max preps.
Okay.
So, you do want, yes, you would ideally like to win this to boost your max preps ranking.
So you're not playing, Blackfoot Skyline for the first round,
right?
Because that with max preps, that's been a common thread.
I hope not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a comment from Twitter, Sean. DK says Dax Whitney will be a millionaire in a couple months. He's going to have an interesting choice. You know, the Major League Baseball draft. We'll see if he gets drafted. If he does get drafted high enough, he could decide to just start playing professional baseball. You don't start off being a millionaire right away, but also if he decides to go to Oregon State, let's be honest, their football program's kind of in shambles. Their basketball program was a disaster. Their baseball program is one of the strongest programs there is, not just for Oregon State, but in the entire Pac-12. Wherever they end up in they're going to dominate. So there's some lucrative NIL opportunities potentially there at that Oregon State baseball program as well.
Yeah, it's not bad to have options, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his options are phenomenal. I remember graduating high school, and then a kid's year younger for me. It was really funny. His name was Cody Kirkland. He was drafted to like Pittsburgh when he was graduating high school. That was kind of interesting to see, but yeah, that's always interesting to see what will come around about that.
Yeah, but it's been an awesome career for Dax Whitney. And, lest you think he just pitches. No. He is also the top performer at the plate as well, Sean. On the season, he is batting .507 with 4 home runs, 9 doubles, and a triple. He leads the team in RBIs with 38. So he is a true standout at the plate. He's like the Shohei Ohtani of Idaho high school baseball.
Well, yeah, whoever commented, he's kind of right. He might be a millionaire. I mean, after you keep reading these stats, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. This has been a really fun Blackfoot team to watch. And so best of luck against Hillcrest in the semis. Final bracket to look at here. Sean is in the High Country Conference as well, but the Class 5A edition. Highland is your number 1 seed. They went undefeated in league play. Madison and Rigby ended up tied, the 2 and the 3. And then Thunder Ridge got the number 4 seed. This is all happening today, Sean. As we're recording this, maybe the games are wrapping up and going final, but certainly I think Highland is the favorite coming into this thing.
Yeah, Highlands had kind of control of the conference, and I kind of wonder if these games happened today, because in Pocatello, it snowed pretty hard around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So I'm kind of curious to see if these games happened. Someone who takes photos for the Idaho State Journal told me that Highlands game would probably happen no matter what, because they play on that turf. So
yeah, they've got that sweet turf. Breaking news, Sean.
okay.
The Madison Rigby game has gone final. The Trojans win 7-6. They were down 6-5 going into the bottom of the 7th inning, Sean, and Rigby walked it off.
Wow.
How cool is that?
We've had it seems like that's kind of been the roadmap of there's lots of walk-offs, right? Everyone's down and someone walks off. We've seen it in softball and baseball. I hope you're keeping stats of how many walk-offs there's been this year. So I feel like there's been a ton.
Couldn't even begin to try and compute that. So yeah, that's just incredible. Let's see if we can get a final from Highland. The game might still be in progress as well. They're playing it at their brand new field, Westmark Field, Sean. It looks really nice for Highland here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything here. We'll see if I can get an update before the end of the show. But that's what's going on here in the 5A. So
yeah, I mean, I live right by Highland, and there's a good little inch of snow on the ground right now. So I don't know if they got that done. Well, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll try to monitor it, certainly. But yeah, that's what's going on. And we'll have more postseason brackets to share and discuss next week on the show, Sean. Some state berths might already be wrapped up by the time we're doing the show next week, but the postseason has arrived.
Yeah, and next week we'll have district tennis for the conferences here in East Idaho. We'll have district track. 4A is going to be in Preston with a fabulous new track. I haven't seen it. I've just heard all about it, how it's just a great facility they put down in Franklin County. So there'll be a lot of stuff. We might come up a little early of some of those results, but we'll definitely be able to hit some of it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of beautiful facilities, we'll wrap up on this note. Of course, the Mountain America Center built just south of Idaho Falls, right? As you're driving into town, if you're making that drive from Pokey to IF, right? You can see it right off the interstate. But it's hosted a Boise State men's basketball game, right?
I was there.
You went to that?
Against St. Mary's.
Yeah, that was a big game.
It was awesome. Boise beat St. Mary's. The stadium was full. I was in some box seats. Don't want to brag, but it was pretty great. Yeah, kind of a big deal, And no, everyone was there. Travis Hobson, the Thunder Ridge AD, was there too. There's a ton of people. It's a fun arena to watch a game. I have to admit, and I've went to a concert too, but it's a phenomenal facility. For Idaho, it's like the perfect size. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, there's been that's of course where the Idaho Spud Kings play, right? The hockey team over there in Idaho Falls. There's been some concerts there already in the early going, and Boise State has already committed to playing another men's basketball game there next year as well. So Mountain America Center, beautiful facility, and now the state of Idaho and the IHSAA has gotten on board with the Mountain America Center as well. Sean, it was announced last week that state volleyball and state cheer and dance championship competitions are coming to East Idaho and the Mountain America Center. There will be a volleyball tournament in 2024 and 2025, and there will be state cheer and dance championships coming in 2026 and 2027. Now, we don't know which classifications yet for volleyball. That'll all be determined as we get closer, but state tournament volleyball, state cheer and dance coming to East Idaho. And I know everybody's thinking it's about time.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a topic of conversation even in the spring, just with everything usually being hosted in Boise. I was talking to someone a couple years ago. It was state tennis, state track, softball, and baseball were all in Boise, and it was Boise's graduation. So the closest hotel was Ontario, Oregon. So yeah, it'll be good. I can tell you that venue I think would just be phenomenal for volleyball. Like the atmosphere of that and volleyball, I think would just be unreal. I think kids, no matter where they came from, they would just love that experience of that venue. And for cheer and dance, I think that's great too. I know people like the Idaho Center, but I think that venue would fit that activity far better, and it would be louder, and just the atmosphere and energy would be unreal.
I think it's a slam dunk, home run, whatever you want to call it, chalk it up to. So it's going to be pretty remarkable. And everyone's saying basketball, we got to crawl before we can walk, but this is a good start and very exciting. Certainly. Sean, it looks like maybe that Highland baseball game did get pushed to tomorrow. I was just kind of looking on the Highland baseball game changer profile, and they've got it listed as tomorrow. So I think that's the official story. So Rigby played today, but not Highland in baseball. But
we had a tennis match against Madison today, and it wasn't ideal, but we started and it was fine, and then it snowed and we had to stop. And so I can only imagine how that worked out. There was also some softball going on at Capel, and I think they had to stop too. I don't know if that was districts or not for Highland, but the weather coming up big on May 1st.
Yeah, there's still regular season for softball 5A, 4A over there in East Idaho. They got a little runway to go still, but it's very interesting for sure. Sean, on his nameplate, it says it all. Haircut equals an inch of snow. That's usually how it works out, right?
Yeah, I was trying to do my best Scott Burton, but apparently didn't pull off as much. But I can try. I can give him my best shot.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see if you can come up with a catchy moniker again next week. But that'll do it for this edition of the East Idaho Prepcast, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the competitions this week / this weekend. and travel safe, everybody. For Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in to the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.